What's up, guys? Welcome back to another EVE Online video. This is going to be going over a Vedmac build. This fit is used in high sec. You can use this in any space, Galante, Amar, any of them. And what you're doing is you're going after combat sites like Watch, Vigil, 3 of 10s, 4 of 10s. And the idea here is that you're just IS generation. This is a precursor cruiser class, and so it has you can use drones with it as well, so it's a very efficient way to just scan down combat sites, run them really fast, and just kind of keep things going. I'll put the fit in the description so you can actually simulate it in game yourself. But what I'll do is I'll go through the entire fit as I have it and the way I've been running it, and then I'll show a Garista's Watch combat site. Alright, going over the fit here. What's nice about this ship is you can use, if you have your targeting skills up and all that, you can go up to 10 targets, which is really good for using like the tractor beam and stuff to loot. This ship comes in at about 350 to about 400 mil. You can make your money back really easily if you're looting all the high value modules and the loot that's dropping. Starting off with your high slots here, we're using an auto targeting system too. This will just give us more targets. It goes from 7 to 10 with this active, or with this on. And then the tractor beam, small tractor beam 1, that's really like when you're just kind of flying around, you're destroying stuff. Any wrecks that have loot, you're just gonna be kind of like multitasking while you're destroying ships and stuff like that. You're gonna be looting as you go, which is why I don't necessarily carry a mobile tractor unit. And then obviously we have a scissors core probe launcher with the sister core scanner probes. This is going to be to scan down our watches and our vigils and things like that. Now, as far as skills go, this is your main damage dealer. This heavy disintegrator. You're going to want your skill for this at least at 4. And you also want precursor cruiser at least at 4. These numbers that you're seeing here are based on level 5 of those skills. You want to be able to use Tech 2 ammo for this. Your Mystic M is going to be your long range ammo, and then your Occult down here, your Occult M will be for your short range. We'll get about 52 kilometers fall off, or 52 kilometers, optimal for Mystic, and then we'll go ahead and switch to Occult here, so you can see, and then we'll get about 21k on the Occult. And that'll be your short range. So normally what I'm doing is I'm starting off the site with Mystic loaded, since 0 on the anomaly could be, pretty far away from the actual spawn point. So the goal is to just start with Mystic, and then as you move closer in into the different waves and different pockets, you'll be switching back and forth from each one. For our rigs, we're using medium capacitor control circuit 2, and then a medium ancillary current router 1, and then a auxiliary Nano pump 2. For the mid slots, we're using large cat batteries. These are essential because of neutralizers and stuff on certain sites in certain space, so you definitely don't want to skip on this. And then we're using an enduring tracking computer. We carry an optimal range script as well as a tracking script. You can switch those based on whether you need optimal or tracking. And then we're also using a 10 MN YSB compact afterburner. This is just to kind of close the target. I'm usually always moving when I'm doing these sites, just to like get a little bit of sig tanking going on, and just not to be static or anything like that. For our low power, we're going to be using damage control 2, and that just gives us a little bit more tank, as well as multispectrum membrane 2s, and then a Entropic radiation sink 2, as well as a reactive armor hardener. This is a armor ship, so your shield, if you're running a lot of sites back to back, your shield is going to take some damage. You don't have any way to get it back up, but your tank is all in your armor, so that's really the most important thing. So if you get annoyed with like the shield notification warning, you can adjust those from your HUD, and so you don't have that beeping sound going off all the time. And then as far as what I carry, I usually carry about 16 core scanner probes, just so if I'm scanning, I already have the next 8 loaded. And then obviously, like I said before, tracking speed script, I carry about 2,000 Occult and about 3,500 or so Mystic. We're gonna be using Mystic a lot more than Occult, and then the optimal range script, obviously. And then drones, I'm using Hobgoblin IIs just because they're a little bit higher damage at a little bit slower movement speed. But I'm usually using these drones to kind of just aid with the Disintegrator, or I'll put the Disintegrator on one target and kind of have the Hobgoblins soften up the next target. I don't run any clones with this just to keep the cost down as much as possible, but if you wanted to run clones, you'll be looking at things like armor and armor repair implants and stuff for that. But for the sake of just keeping the build cheap, since it is, you know, a high sec situation, I just don't run any clones at all with it. Alright, so we're going to just watch real quick so you can kind of see how this is in action. So this is a, watches are normally 2 pockets, I believe so. It's been a while since I've run these. But 2 pockets, and then I think the first pocket's like 3 waves. Our trigger is going to be the, usually the commander. We're right at the acceleration gate, so what we're going to do is we're in range of everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let everything kind of target me. We get everything up, including the Hardener, and then we're just going to start cycling the Disintegrator. And we'll throw out Hobgoblins and just kind of like worry about taking these cruisers down. It's important to just kind of like keep things moving. We're going to actually go and orbit one of these targets just so we can kind of sig tank a little bit. And then we're just keeping an eye on our active targets. And I'm always going to like change my orbit to the 3rd target on my list just so I can kind of always keep moving. We're going to turn our Afterburner a little bit, just kind of close in a little bit. What's nice about it when you change ammo is it's instant on the precursors. And so what we're going to do is once we get this guy down, I'm going to switch to Occult since we're in range for all that. We'll go and throw drones on this guy, switch to Occult, which gives us a little bit higher damage, and then we can immediately just start working on him, which is going to be almost a one-shot for destroyers and whatnot. Usually you want to prioritize these destroyers because they're going to be your highest damage. You're going to keep. It is kind of annoying just because you have to kind of keep hitting F1 quite a bit while you're doing this, but at this point I'm just going to let my drones kind of like pick whatever target they want. I'm gonna get all these destroyers down and then start working frigates. We have auto targeting on, so they'll keep us kind of flush with new targets to go through. Alright, get that disintegrator up again. Oh, we'll see, like we got waves. Like the next wave actually went out a little bit further, and so we're gonna have to re-engage, and then we switch back to Mystic, which puts us back in range of the frigates. We'll close in on them. Another thing you can do too is actually just pick like a structure. So let's see, I'll pick like one of these storage facilities and I'll orbit it. That way I don't have to actually keep re-engaging the orbit. And we're actually overlapping a little bit on our waves, but that's fine. As you can see, we're doing pretty well. And having the cap batteries too, even when neutralizers aren't present, allows you to just kind of keep your Afterburner running and your armor repair as well. Here we go. Now we're in a little bit more decent range. Got about 30, 40. We're gonna pick the 30-kilometer guys over here because our range is 52. We're just gonna be mindful of that. And you should get to pretty on top of it because like usually like the first little tick or first 2 ticks on the disintegrator is enough to kill a lot of the cruisers and stuff like that. So we're pretty much in range of everything already, except for the mortifier, which we can close in on him once we get a little bit closer to him. Right now I'm prioritizing cruisers, and then I'm gonna go down to destroyers. The drones actually might do a little bit better on the destroyers. They have a hard time with frigates for the most part. But anything for us, a lot of the damage is going to be coming off of destroyers for the most part. And then we'll wait that cycle down, get that destroyer down. We start working on these other cruisers here. As you can see, it's pretty mindless. It's pretty easy. If you're used to running things like missiles or projectile weapons or hybrid weapons, it's a little bit different to get used to, just because you know, you only have one weapon, so you have to kind of like keep on top of it. Which is why we're good with our tank at the moment. And sometimes sometimes it'll hit him in one shot, sometimes it won't. It's just kind of the nature of the beast here. And this is usually what I do is like I'm running these watches, these vigils, and just kind of like, you know, killing as fast as I can. We're still orbiting this. We could close in, but they're split a little bit. See, they're kind of like, you know, all over the place. So we're doing pretty well with the Mystic right now, because the furthest target out is 52, 51. He's closing in on me a little bit, so he's already in range. So we'll probably actually, this communications officer is actually the trigger as well, so I'm gonna try to move those drones off of him before. I think we're on the last wave anyway, but we'll see. Maybe not. We want to try to save the communications officers for last, because those are going to be our triggers. We'll get our disintegrator back up. And sometimes the drones will actually follow the disintegrator, sometimes they won't, but most of the time I'm, you know, manually assigning them to other communications. Go with this supremacist. And put the drones over here on this terrace. We're just going to try to keep these destroyers down the best we can. As you can see, we got our Hardener, we have our armor repair going, so we're not having any real issues at the moment. Go with drones on silencer. That's really all it is, just target management. We'll save both these communication guys for last, because I think we actually overlapped some waves on this one, so I've kind of lost track of where we're at. So just kind of like, you know, reset everything. We'll make sure we put these guys on the back side. Drones can be a little slow when they're doing their own targets, but you know, it just kind of helps since you've only got one weapon for the most part. The frigates are the disintegrator has the worst time with the frigates, most likely, most times, so I'm gonna kind of like let the drones take care of the frigates until I don't have any other targets left. And the way that precursor weapons work is, the longer the weapon is on the target, every tick or every cycle will increase its damage up to a certain cap. That's why precursors are really good for things like structure bashing, or like, you know, putting you know, being able to put the disintegrator on a target for a long amount of time, because then you're able to actually like cap out the damage for it. Alright, so we'll go start working on this as a frigate here. Maybe by the time we get this demolisher down, the other destructor will be dead, and then we can just kind of work on those other guys. I'm gonna throw these drones on this frigate here. We'll go ahead and approach this communications. Actually, I'm going to approach the other one since it's got the most health. Just try to close the damage, or close the range a little bit. Alright, then Disintegrator on this one, as well as the drones. And then we're actually moving towards the one we hadn't even targeted yet, so once this one's dead, we'll be right where we need to be. And we'll get everybody on target on this one. And we got the next wave coming out. And they're way up there too, so we'll burn up there at 82. So what I'll do is I'll start turning around right now and just start moving up. What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and reload while we're waiting. And then once we get into range, we'll be working destroyers and cruisers in that order, just like we have before. Once we get closer to about 51 or so, we'll start targeting everything up. The auto targeter will do it anyway, and we just have to wait a couple more seconds to get the disintegrator on. And it's just business as usual, as you can tell. And that's all the destroyers. Just gotta let the drones do their thing. I normally don't loot a whole lot. Like there's a lot of SIGs that I've already like nabbed and stuff like that, and I can just kind of go one after the other. You can use a mobile tractor unit for the most part, but most of the time I'm just kind of going after the actual bounty payout in high sec, because it's just a little bit more efficient in my mind. I just like going from one site to the next. You can loot, you know, and when I do loot, it's very selective. All right, we're currently not approaching any. We're going to approach the other guy. Cruisers take a little bit of work. That should be the last wave, so our next target is actually going to be the acceleration gate here, which we'll have to close in on quite a bit. And once you get that, you know, last rat down in that pocket, then all you'll do is just, you know, suck your drones in. And then we'll just be doing things like reloading, and while we're burning to the acceleration gate, I'll usually turn everything off as well too while I'm burning, just to, you know, rebuild the cap a little bit, because you never know, especially when you're dealing with, you know, neutralizers and stuff like that. You know, managing the cap helps a lot too. There's no reason to run this stuff while we're just kind of just making our way towards the gate. And then at this point, I'll just turn my hardener back on. I'll turn all my things back on and activate, and go to the next pocket. If your skills aren't that great with like your armor and everything like that, then yeah, you want to make sure you look up the site you're doing on Google, so you can know what the trigger is. For the most part, for what my skills are at, I usually just kind of just kill whatever. All right, so we're gonna move in. I'm gonna do some manual movement here. I'm gonna leave the drones in for now, because I kind of want everything on the grid to kind of like target me, just so that the drones don't get kind of alphaed, or primaried rather. These heavy guns, I'm usually going after those early on. We can kind of hold off on the armor repair for a minute, at least until we and we'll hold up on the drones too until we clean up the destroyers. For the most part, really need the help from the drones with the cruisers, just to speed that up a little bit. I'm manual moving just like kind of where this the center of this pocket was a little bit. Once I get there, I'll pick an orbit target. We'll try on the armor repair. I think we could probably throw drones out now. We'll have them start working on the cruiser while we work on the destroyers. as you'll see, our armor repair, once we start getting these destroyers down, our armor repair will catch up, and we'll be good to go. They're on that last destroyer, so I'm gonna start working on this cruiser here. I'm gonna manual move just to get closer to them, and then I'll come back down to the next spawn there. Did pretty good there. That spawn came up right when we were pretty much at the end of the first one. Go and start moving down towards that the next little group. See, before, what are we at? 16. We can actually do Occult. I'm gonna switch to Occult for this wave since they're kind of all still grouped up for the most part. That'll just give us, another like 300 or 400 DPS, which will just speed things up considerably. And our range on that is 21k, so we want to make sure we kind of keep an eye on that. We also got target disruption going on now as well, so that's going to be kind of dictating our targets. What we'll do is try to split these drones with the Disintegrator to take down the last 2 target disruptors. I got one left, the one that Caracal at the drone is on. It's the last disruptor. I'm not looting for this video because I just don't want it to take way too long. Since you are doing this all in high sec, you do have quite a bit of time. It's not like null ratting where you want to get off grid super fast and like that, but normally I don't really loot watches anyway. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I didn't loot for these 2 pockets just because I didn't want this to run too long. Normally, what would change, it would be basically, instead of me like kind of orbiting and approaching different targets, I would be just kind of like, working on looting while I'm also targeting. But yeah, you get the idea. Really good ship. Let me know in the comments if you give it a shot. And it's one of my favorite high sec, combat site ships to run. I think I actually enjoy the precursor ships overall. So thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.